Good morning, fourth grade. We're ready for language lesson 167. We are getting into some more review today. Pay very careful attention as I ask you questions about punctuation, capitalization, parts of speech, pronouns, and antecedents. And see if you can remember the answers for all of the things that we've learned over the year. We're not talking about all of the things today, but see if you can remember the answers for these things. So I'm going to start with asking you a lot of questions about punctuation and capitalization. Okay, again, even though I cannot hear you, please speak the answers and do them the best that you can. Let's get started. First of all, we're starting with punctuation. So a declarative sentence, what does a declarative sentence end with? A period. An interrogative sentence, what does that end with? A question mark. An imperative sentence, what does that end with? A period. What does an exclamatory sentence end with? An exclamation mark. How do you punctuate initials and abbreviations? You put periods after them. Comma rules. How many items in a series do you need before you need commas in them? Do you understand that question? So if you're talking about more than one thing and you're listing off items in a series, how many does it need to be to use a comma? 3 or more. 3 or more items in a series need commas. Use commas to separate items in dates and addresses. Okay? And remember, if we would be writing a date, let's say you're writing it that it's Monday, March 31st, 2020. Okay, can you see that full thing? You have a comma after Monday, you have a comma after the number of the date, okay? Now, if you're writing an address, remember to put a comma after or between the city or the town and the state, okay? Be careful with that. Okay, use a comma after yes and no at the beginning of a sentence. Use commas to set off words of direct address. If you're specifically talking to someone, Rodney, comma, or something like that. Use a comma after the greeting of a friendly letter and after the closing of any letter. Now, quotation marks. Use quotation marks before and after a direct quotation, which is exactly what someone said. Remember, you need a comma separating who said it and what they said. The direct quotation needs to start with a capital letter, and make sure you put your ending punctuation mark there. Use quotation marks after the titles of before and after what titles. Now, there are 6 of them, so see how many you can list, and then I will list them for you. Okay, short stories, poems, songs, chapters, and magazine or newspaper articles. Apostrophes. Apostrophe is used to show where letters have been omitted in a contraction. You also use an apostrophe in S to show ownership. We call that a possessive word. Colon. Use a colon between the hour and the minute when you write the time. Use a colon between the chapter and verse when you write a Bible reference. Use a colon after the greeting of a business letter. Now, underlining. Underlining is used for what kind of titles? Go ahead and list them, and then I will list them to you. There are 6 of those as well. Okay, books, newspapers, magazines, ships, plays, and works of art. Okay? Do not use underlining for the Bible or books of the Bible. If you have a part of a book, magazine, or newspaper, use quotation marks for it if it's just a part of it. Remember, do not underline the before a newspaper title, and also do not underline USS or HMS if it's before a ship's name. Okay? Now, capitalization. The first word of every sentence needs to be capitalized. and every direct quotation. We talked about that already. Now, I'm not asking all of these as questions. Some of them are a little hard to make into questions, so just keep listening, and remember, the more times you hear these, hopefully the more you will remember them. Capitalize the word I. Do the days of the week, the months of the year, and the seasons need to be capitalized? Days of the week and months do need to be, but do not capitalize seasons. Summer, fall, spring, winter, no. What about poetry? How do we capitalize poetry? Now in poetry, instead of every paragraph or every sentence being capitalized, it's every single line. Capitalize holidays and special days like Christmas, Easter. For titles of books, magazines, newspapers, poems, stories, and songs, capitalize the first and last word of the title and then the important words. Okay? Not words like a, and, the, at, by, but words that really help you to know what the book is about. Capitalize mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather when they are used as names. Okay, so if you could put a name in there and it would still sound right, then capitalize them. Capitalize particular people, places, and things. Capitalize names referring to God in the Bible. Capitalize initials, and capitalize the title of a person when it comes before a name. Okay, so we've gone over these recently, I believe, but the more times you hear them, the more you will be able to remember them. Okay, parts of speech. What are the different parts of speech that we've learned about so far? We have noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, adverb, conjunction, interjection. Okay? Now a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. What is a verb? Verb shows action or state of being. What's a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. What is an adjective? It's a word that describes a noun. It answers which one, what kind, how many, how much, and whose. What is an adverb? A word that describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. And what questions does that answer? Where, when, how often, to what extent? Now, conjunction is a connecting word. Words like and, but, or, nor, for, and yet. And interjection is a word that shows sudden or strong feeling. Some of them are mild and some are strong. Hey, oh, yes, things like that. Those are interjections. And pronouns, we talked about that recently, how it takes the place of a noun, words like I, he, me, yours. But an antecedent, what is an antecedent? You're going to work with this in your lesson today, so let's talk about it for a bit. I have a sentence here. Here are some roses, Patty. They are for you. So let's find some pronouns. We have two of them. Two pronouns that we have are they and you, okay? Now, when we talk about an antecedent is the word that pronoun is taking the place of, okay? So the word they and the word you, they are both pronouns. And the reason they are pronouns is because they are taking the place of another word. So what is they talking about? What is they taking the place of? Roses, right? When we're talking about they, we're talking about roses in this sentence. So let's circle roses because roses is the antecedent for they. Now, what is you referring to? It's not listing a name anymore, it just says you. So what is you taking the place of? What is the antecedent for you? Patty, right? Because the roses are for Patty. But instead of saying her name twice, they use the pronoun you. So the antecedent is Patty, okay? Work your lesson carefully. Let me know if you have any questions. It's very important that you take the time to work carefully in these review lessons. You have 3 pages, but hopefully just take your time as you work through them and try to do the best that you can. Make sure you catch everything and try to follow the directions, whatever they tell you to do, okay? I will talk to you later and I hope you have a good rest of your day.